Welcome everybody to the Culture Shock Podcast. It's your boy Pat Bayless, and I'm in the building with somebody very special. She is a person that I'm so interested to learn about. Somebody that, if you know me, you know my brother is a dancer. She is somebody that has danced with some teams. She is a director, and somebody that I'm just so interested to really get to know, and I hope you guys are too. So welcome in, Gina Capelli. How are you?
Hello.
How
so
are you?
excited
How
to
are
be
you?
here.
I'm excited to have you. Very interested because what I do is completely different from my brother. But to see what my brother does is just a dancer and a choreographer. To see the grind, I know for you where you're at, just to look back on your story and things of that nature, to do all of that, it's very interesting. So first of all, how are you? I just want to make sure, how are you?
You trucking.
Because life be
You're
lifing.
dancing.
Yeah.
Dancing through life.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is always lifing.
Yes.
Especially out in New York.
Yes. So before everybody gets to know what you do now and the career that you have, let's go all the way back. Where are you from? Where did it all begin?
I grew up in West Babylon.
Okay.
Also out in Long Island. And I'm currently now in Bayport.
Beautiful.
My family, yeah.
So how many siblings did you have?
I had
growing
one.
up?
I grew up with a brother 6 years older than me. 10 times the size of me.
Mhm.
You know, typical punch you around kind of brother. And a huge cousin family, though. I'm Italian, so I got
Okay.
a massive, big family behind the scenes, but grew up in a household with just one brother.
What was the protection like in that family? An Italian family, a brother that's 6 years older. When you get into, like your teenage years, what was it like to be protected? I'm sure
So-
super people watching over.
Like in the beginning when I was younger, it was like I wanted to chase him and just hang out with him, but I
Yeah.
was way younger and, I'd be coming home in a dress, but with like bruises all up my leg to keep up with him. He would be, daredevil riding his bike.
Yeah.
He was a typical boy.
Mhm.
And it was pretty much like, get out of my room, get out of here. And then once I hit 13, I'll never forget this. We went to the mall. I think we were shopping for Christmas for our parents. And this group of guys passed us and started like hitting on me at 13. I mean, I'm like, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
And they hit on me. And I'll never forget, like, my brother turned around. He looks like a scarier version
yeah.
of me,
Mhm.
bigger, And he just turned around and I remember him being like, what'd you say? Like getting defensive. And I'm like, funny, because usually you're beating me up,
Yeah.
So I noticed like it flipped for him where he realized like, now he's got to protect me.
Yeah.
Now he's got to look out for me. So like, I remember as much as like, obviously my parents were always very protective. I was, the only girl back then. You didn't have little trackers on your phone and things like that to find out where you were. We were a lot wilder, younger. The things I think I did, I wasn't even that bad. And the things I did even younger, without thinking, I'm like, I would never let my daughter do that. Like, I would never, and I'm just like, I can't believe I got in that car or went to that party. Like, I would never let my daughters do that, But it was kind of nice because if ever in a moment, to this day, it's like my brother's the type of guy that I could just be like, get him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, protect me. Like, I don't even have to ask. Like, and he doesn't ask questions. It's kind of like that natural,
Yeah, I think
Watch
that
my
is
back.
beautiful because sometimes you see in families like the brother and sister is super close, and then the sister wants to kind of rebel, and they separate. You know what I'm saying? And there's this strain for a while, and then when they get older, they're like, "All right, that was silly back then."
He lived life a little more on edge than me.
Okay.
So there was that natural, like, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to this. You're not allowed to that. In fact, like when I got way older and had a boyfriend, I remember it was like, all right, as long as he can beat up someone for you, or if you're going to that party, you have to go with that boyfriend, because I was never allowed to like go out with just the girls, because it was just like, who's going to protect you then?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if my brother's name is Bobby. If Bobby's not with you, who's going to protect you?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was very, and then, that kind of proceeded into my future life where it was, I wouldn't say it was like scared, but there was always that natural look for a man to protect, 'cause listen, my mouth can protect me and things can protect me, but I'm still 5'3".
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
No, I
I'm
totally
still a little
understand.
girl. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Did your parents instill that? Did your parents instill that into your brother? Was that from them, or did he?
No, I think that was
naturally-
my brother's natural thing.
Really?
But my father is like, your typical man, very, protective in that sense too. He's a military guy,
Right.
but with a heart of gold. But I think that was just his natural, realizing that, I am smaller, a girl, you know what I mean? I think that was just his natural like protection mode.
Now let's touch the beginning of the dance world.
Yeah.
For you, when did you actually start dancing?
Literally out of the womb. So my mother worked at a dance studio when I was younger. She was like the secretary, used to help with the little kid classes and stuff like that. She was a preschool teacher and she was very like honed in on little kids. And I immediately, 2 years old, 3 years old, I mean, like just started walking and it was just like, all right, you're not just going to walk, you're going to dance. And it was always, it's like, not like all I know, but it was like always just a part of my persona. Like even now, if people ask me things about me personally, I'm like, I don't know how to answer that without like bringing in dance. You know what I mean? Like it was my therapy. It was my, music is very big to me too. Like if I need music to calm me down on any level, if I'm like mentally overstimulated or if I'm like, and even that, I never like honed into that. But it's like my literal mental therapy and like way I connect to like the world, I think.
Absolutely. I think music for all of us has the ability. Yeah.
I don't think people realize how strong music is
the vibrations
for people. And we'll get
music
into that because
crazy.
even my youngest daughter, she was diagnosed nonverbal autistic. And now you would never know. Like if you met her, she's yapping away and she's only a year and a half ago started talking, but like there's no signs of the autism. There's no sign. And it was like, thanks to music. We'll get into that. But it was like, I really think people need to hone in on that more for, mental well-being.
It is. And
it's like free therapy. I don't think people realize how much it's like free therapy.
Absolutely. And the scary part though, I always say too about music, which I'm a big music guy. But the thing is like people, if you don't know how to control what you listen to in music, can actually take you somewhere else too. Like
that's really funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
I just saw something where it was like if you listen to like really and the same thing goes for like movies.
Yeah.
If you're constantly watching like movies about that are really negative and it like almost like kind of injects into your persona or mental,
Well, think about this. Like think about
what it does
going through going through a heartbreak, right? If you're going through a heartbreak and you listening to music that is
I got all the playlists.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of us got that heartbreak playlist. So if you're going through the heartbreak, like, you sitting. Meanwhile, you didn't have to listen to that song, but the song came on and you like, damn, So it's one of those things where it's music, good and then it could be
music absolutely controls me, and like I've learned that even with like driving to work or when I need to hone in. If there's a song, like I'll be a certain type of person. I feel like my kids even look at me like, oh, mom's singing.
Yeah,
we're good. You know what I mean? Like if I'm singing and I'm like, wailing out notes to the music, we know mom's in a really like happy-go-lucky mood, but then there's moments where I'm really, really quiet listening to music, and that's when I'm like in my head.
Yep. No, it's true. That's what so I go to therapy, and I've been in therapy for like 4 years. So my therapist, she's telling me like, hey, listen, you should stay. At one point in the beginning, I was dealing with, or we were just talking about heartbreak. So my therapist was like, yeah, you should probably stay away from this artist because that artist. Yeah, just because that artist, it just takes you back to what you're trying to grow from. You get what I'm saying? So I was like, all right. So, every time I would listen to the song, I'd be like, yeah, sometimes I feel it. Like, the way I still feel it, I can still take myself back there, and I'm like,
so you're saying it's self-torture if I sit there listening to...
Not everybody, but I feel like if you're really deep in that rooted, that's the scar.
Music's very triggering.
It could trigger stuff.
It brings you back to memories, moments.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a lot of things in my life.
Even good moments, though, which is great. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. There's moments in my life where I'm like, that song was on when this happened.
Yeah.
Especially being like a dancer. That's like my mental, like, I feel like a little puppet, like it's like puppeteers me a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
it started really super little.
Yeah.
Going back. I know I bounced.
Because with that, it's kind of interesting. So is it so I'll just give you like an example for me. I like just to dance. I'm not a dancer or nothing. My brother was always like watching me and he would dance, and my family would be like, kind of not wave him off, but like, oh yeah, like he's doing after his brother, this, that, the third. But meanwhile, he's the dancer. He winds up being the actual dancer. But he didn't go to a dance school, I think, until he was probably like 16 or 15.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
for you, when did you start going to like dance classes, or did you kind of just freestyle it all the way until a certain point?
So I was put right into dance classes at the dance studio my mother worked at, and back in the day it was very recreational. So nowadays it's very like every dance studio goes to competition and they get
Yes.
judged. And back when it wasn't like that. I was raised by a rockette, and there's a whole type of style behind that with like tapping in heels and doing like just the way you present yourself and da da da. And I raised myself in my head thinking that I would kind of follow my mentor. Now she's passed on, but she was the owner of the studio and very close friends with my mother. And I always thought I was going to be a Radio City Rockette. That's just like what I thought, until I realized that you have to be yay big to do it, and I never went past 5'3", so that kind of like shut down for me. And the Broadway world was like that too. It was very like Rockette like, or 5'7" and up, or 5'6" and up, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So as much as I was very theatrical and trained for that world and da 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 da, I thought the Broadway world was going to be welcoming me open arms at 18, and it was like kind of a little bit of a letdown. Nowadays there's Instagram, there's so many things where you can find these dance jobs, but it's like back when there was a newspaper called Backstage. That's where you would find out like gigs or just word of mouth.
Yeah.
And so in my head, all I knew was being a rockette or going to Broadway, especially living in New York. That was like what you did. And I was like gunning for that. But when I kind of realized there was like you're too short, shorty pie, sorry. Like, you know what I mean? And my mother used to be like, oh, wear a high bun, wear heels. And I'm like, no, Ma, they measure you barefoot. You know what I mean? They measure you barefoot. So I remember, and this is like kind of corny but funny at the same time. Oh, whatever. I was watching MTV, which what the heck happened to MTV? Don't get me started on what it is now, because if I say that nowadays, kids are like, well, what are we watching in like Real World? Like,
exactly.
But no, it was when it was like, the music videos and stuff like that. So my butt lived for music videos because, I would sit there and try to learn Janet Jackson's, Paula Abdul, anyone who was dancey, which they all were back then, and they were iconic dance videos. Like, they were absolutely iconic. No one could even hold a candle to them now. I remember watching in between music videos, and they interviewed Paula Abdul, and she was talking about how she went to an audition for the Laker Girls.
Yes.
And back when I was like, oh, now I want to be, like, in my head, I'm thinking of Paula. She's a peanut. And it reminded, like, looking at Paula Abdul reminded me a lot about myself. Like, I was like, oh, I feel like I could be like a Paula. You know what I'm saying? She's tiny. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but she was also Janet Jackson's choreographer.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
You know the movie Coming to America? When that whole, like, dance scene comes in and they're like, look, that was Paula Abdul.
Her? Wow.
Yeah, she choreographed a ton. And, Janet's music videos are iconic as well. So I feel like even though she was an artist at the time, she was also choreographing for Janet Jackson.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
hello, we need to wake up people and realize how amazing this woman is. So, and she was tap dancing in her videos and doing like all this other stuff that other artists were not doing yet. So I'm listening to her, going back on that. I'm listening to her, and she goes, I got cut the first round. And I was like, what the heck? She goes into the bathroom. Now you can't do this. She goes into the bathroom. She turns her shirt inside out or something like that. She knotted it up. She changed her hairdo. She did something with her pants or something like her shorts, and then went back out there and kept auditioning for the Laker Girls, and they ended up taking her.
Wow.
Then she ended up being one of the most iconic Laker Girls.
Yes.
And for me, that put me into there's a sports entertainment, there's dance teams for sports teams. Like, yes, Dallas was always big, but more like, oh, if you live in Texas, Dallas is huge.
Yes.
But it wasn't like the Laker Girls back in the day were the what? You know what I mean? For like a dancer.
Yep.
New York at the time did not have anything. They didn't have anything going. They had the Nick City Dancers, but, that still wasn't at the time the Laker Girls.
Yeah, the Lakers were a thing of their own.
Right. So, it was just, it was very iconic to the 90s, you
Yeah.
know, with the big socks and just, it was LA, let's be real.
Mm.
So aside from being in New York, going to Broadway, a dancer's only mental thought was, oh, I'm going to go to, LA, Hollywood, dance for music videos, dance in movies, things like that. Everyone thought you had to go that away. So when I was about 18, I started looking into like possibly going to California. Funny enough, the Pussycat Dolls, before they were like the Pussycat Dolls, like a singing group, they actually had a little show going on in California as well that you can audition for, where like Carmen Electra, Christina Aguilera, all these like artists used to be the lead, and you would be like the backup dancer, but you can audition for that back in the day. Like you can literally just be a Joe Schmo and go audition for them. It wasn't like what it is now. Like now they're like a singing group and it's totally different. My parents weren't so super fond of me, like just dipping, you know what I mean, and going to another state. I'm not gonna lie, because back when, it wasn't so like, I'm just gonna get on a plane, Mom, and I'm gonna go by myself.
How old were you at this point?
17, 18.
17, yeah.
Yeah, so 17, 18 back in the day when there was no, I don't know, it was just so different.
Yeah.
Like, and like even finding out about that, it was like a flyer. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not seeing, YouTube didn't exist yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Nothing existed yet. Websites were barely informative. So again, this was all, once Paula put that out there and put that in my head, I was like, all right. I go to college for dance now, and right across the street is Nassau Coliseum. I went to Nassau Community College for dance, and I was gonna like 2 years in after my associates go to Hofstra, saving some money kind of here, because doing 4 years for dance would have been wildly expensive if I would have went to a 4-year college. I go to Nassau, right across the street, and again, I see a flyer for an audition for arena football, that they were looking for dancers, and I was like, let me give this a shot, because even when I was a major in college, as much as I was a soloist and stuff like that, my modern teacher, my ballet teacher, I was very strong in ballet, they still were like, you look like a showgirl. You look like a commercial dancer. Like, there was almost like, ugh. Like, I wasn't,
Did that mess into you? Did that right there, right? Those things, you being short, people kind of, in a way, overlooking you in the regard of where you want to be.
Yeah.
Did that mess with you mentally at such a young age?
Believe it or not, no.
So it fueled you.
Because I was gunning mentally to be in spotlights, not in like a dance company. And like, I didn't want to be, because I knew if I would have went into the ballet world, I would have definitely been in the ensemble, a background person. They would never let a prima be 5'3". Not happening. I was in a ballet company in my older years, around my college years. And even then, and thank God I have the mentality, like I'm a very big jokester. Like it's hard to like break me like that. But I remember I had this like really strict Russian ballet teacher at the time, and these girls would come flying in. They were homeschooled, whatever, to be in the company. And she would call them spaghettis, and I was the meatball. Now, mind you, I was like a size 2, but like cut, muscular wise, curvier. Yeah. Like had a, and that's another thing. They want their girls like flat in the back, flat in the front. You know what I mean? Like, not to talk about body parts, but it was, So when I went to ballet in college, my ballet teacher at the time looked at me like that. Here I am, like a curvier girl. I showed up with makeup on my face and like cared about, like I was more raised to be like very physically present. And I liked the more like entertainment than I did something that was, I don't want to say boring, because that shows like disrespect to the art, but I just wasn't like a emotional dancer.
You would say more flashy.
I was more like a ba 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 da ba, wow, you know what I mean? But that was just always me. Like as a kid, even my mother on the weekends, like every Friday night, I feel like we used to do this. Like she would save the costumes from the dance studio, or like she'd have like an old like bridesmaid dress or something silly. And we would like put on the outfit, she'd obviously have like a little glass of wine or something, but we were staying home. And I had one of those fireplaces that had like a big, what is the bottom called? The base. Like the base was just really big, So I used to get everything off of it, and that would be like my stage.
Yo, that's
and it was
funny.
always like even my brother used to rip me. Like it was always like, look at me, everybody, eyes here, let's go and hit it, mom. Like hit the music.
You know what's funny about that? My house
Your brother
actually,
too?
my brother and me, my house had the same exact type of style, where it was the fireplace and then the bass, and the bass was long. It's like a mini stage.
Yeah.
So we used to get on there and
Like a big old
perform all
cement.
type of stuff. Like remember Grease and all that other stuff.
Yes.
We'd be doing that. We'd be
Oh my
performing
God.
that and things like that. So
She would put
that's
on
funny.
like an album from a Broadway play, like Miss Saigon, this Grease
Yeah.
we did. She loved Prince.
Yep.
So we were always Prince.
Yeah.
Madonna, I loved Madonna growing up, you know. So it like I'm sitting here singing like a virgin, like 3, 4, you know what I mean?
That's
Like
funny.
I was always performing, and like even my friends, my cousins, if you came to my house, you were gonna learn a routine, you were gonna perform it.
That's
you were
dope.
gonna like I always just loved doing that. That
Right.
was like, but again, it felt like always it was always a part of my persona. You know what I mean? Like it just who I was. It's not like what I did. It was always like who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So the arena football team, that was the Dragons, correct?
Yes, the
Okay, so this is
Those are the
this is
best.
like when this is kind of like when they first started. You
Yeah,
auditioned,
yeah,
or were they
so
already
I
kind of
was-
established?
I was there pretty much the inaugural season. I think it might have even have been so they had the first round when it wasn't so big, and then that second round I lucked out and I jumped in. Now I'm only like maybe 19 at the time.
Do me a favor, just come a little closer
yeah,
to
sorry.
the mic. No, you good, you good.
It's the
No,
wheels.
just because sometimes the camera, when you like, if you move too far back, it'll take the vision. It'll blur you.
Oh, it'll blur
and
me
take
out?
the vision. Yeah, you good.
We can go
Yeah.
back on that.
Yeah.
So I started the New York Dragons when I was about 19 years old. Again, still currently in college. And went to that audition and kind of winging it because there was things that they were doing that I was like, I never learned this. Like I never learned how to do these tricks and these things, but like I kind of just, there was like a couple of years, I would say from like 19 to like 24, where it felt, this sounds really corny to say, but it almost felt so divine when I would go to these auditions because I would feel so unstoppable and so like, I don't want to say confident in a cocky way. Like I would go in there with like an ego because I
Right.
definitely was petrified. Like I'd be to the point where I remember like brushing my teeth before an audition and like gagging while I'm brushing my teeth because I was so damn nervous. But then like it was like a music turned on and it felt like somebody else was like moving me.
You
And
hear
I
that
was
a lot,
nailing
especially
it.
with artists.
Like nailing it. Like I knew I walked out of there with the job kind of nailing it. And it felt like divine. Like it felt like, girly girl, this is what you're meant to be. Like you ain't messing up this dance. You're not going to not shine. You're not going to not glow. Like you're going to kill it. And it was like every audition I was going to, I was getting the job. And
It's
it was
beautiful.
like, it felt very, like I felt very blessed, but it, like I said, it felt like someone was behind me. Like, you know, it felt very like, so I felt like I was in the right place.
Did it feed at all? Because this year you're young, right? At this point, how old are you at this point?
19.
So you're 19. Did it feed at any point your ego? In
I
a
wouldn't
bad
say-
way.
I wouldn't say ego because even going in, I was like learning, you know,
Right.
and like really, like I said, you know, there was tricks and stuff they were doing in the dance world that I was like, I never learned how to really do this properly. And I lucked out. I met this Phyllis, my first coach ever. I still am in communication with her. She was like the next mentor for me. And like, she was a very technical dancer, a coach. And, you know, if there was ever something I didn't know, I feel like I can just look at her and she'd be like, just get on your leg more. And she mentored me in so many other ways, like even just through the career, you know, kind of like guided me. And it felt like, you know, I just always felt like I was in the right place when I went into that sports world. I just felt like this is where you're meant to be. You're supposed to be a commercial dancer. Right. You're supposed to be like on camera for things. And it was, you were doing print work. You were speaking. We did radio. It was more like radio. Podcasts weren't really a thing then.
Yep.
But we did, you know, radio meet and greets, news meet and greets. You did more than just dancing out on there. But even when game time, it was like, I still felt that like floating feeling. Like I was like, my feet weren't touching the ground kind of thing.
Beautiful.
Like it felt unstoppable. So I wouldn't say it was like an ego feeling. because you're always humbled when you're a dancer. Shit happens. You can fall one day. You can have a messed up. I got some funny ass stories, but it's very humbling. But at the same time, it's like I feel like it fed my not ego. I'm trying to think of the word. It just like it felt very divine. It felt like it was like you're in the right place. This is what you're supposed to be doing. You're meant to be doing this. And something's going to come out of this one day for you.
It was your purpose.
Yeah, it was like my purpose, like, and because we also did community events. We also worked with children still, and I was always a dance teacher. To this day I am. And, that feeds my soul more than, like I always say, dance with your heart and your soul, but soul's not just, when you say heart, that's soul with a U, and when your soul, your feet, you know what I mean? Like SOLE. So it's like, it's your heart and soul is like how you dance, and that's how everything, comes out like that. So, but starting that arena, I was with them for like 6 years, all the way to, my God, I think 2007, when that connected me to the next job and the next job and the next job. And there's still people I'm working with now that I've known since the Dragon years.
So give me all, just in just rapid form, just give me all the teams you ever danced for.
So I started with the Arena Football New York Dragons. Directly from that, went to the New York Jets, and that was the inaugural season for them too. Stayed with them until about, I had my second daughter. We'll go into that later.
Yes.
And then connected to the New York Dragons was the Islanders, because it was the same owner. It was Charles at the back in the day. At the Coliseum. So there was a link with that where I was also dancing for them. And then after the pandemic, I got to know the National Lacrosse League's New York Riptide, which now they're in Canada.
Yep.
That's when I went to the other side of the fence, though. And then from that, since that left, all those same people worked for the New York Mets.
Oh, cool.
And I was going to go back to the New York Islanders again, but there just wasn't a position really for that, nor a dance team or anything like that. So I ended up going to the Mets, kind of a little like not tail between my legs, but a little bummed, because I was like, all right, I'll just be a producer. I guess I'm not dancing. The Mets are never going to want to dance, blah, blah, blah. Now this camera guy I work for has known me since the Dragon days. And we're talking like 25 years here. And he was my camera guy in the lacrosse league. And he was just like, just come over, go to the Mets. He's like, just go to the Mets. Let's get the ball rolling. And I was just like, are they going to do a dance team or anything like that? You think they'll ever do anything like that? And he's like, well, we could probably have you working with the entertainment teams. Like, there's a Perk Patrol. They shoot T-shirts, things like that. But just get in first.
Right. Put your foot wet.
So I get in, and I'm sitting here sending like choreography reels and giving them, kind of trying to plant a seed. And then like not even a month in, the guy turns around and he goes, Gina, you're never going to believe this. He's like, Steve Cohen wants a dance team.
Wow. I mean, that guy's not to go in his bag, but he could afford all that and more. That guy is
amazing. So he went to a Knicks game, I believe. This is what I heard. This is all, kind of back talk, but he went to a Knicks game and kind of saw that internal, the lights, the PA, not PAs, but like the MCs.
Yeah.
And, just the whoa, like you don't know where to look. And I think he got inspired. And next thing you know, the next season, we have an MC, we have the dance team, we have this, God knows how much LED light show that goes on. Yeah, he changed
the whole screen in the building.
Oh, yeah.
Yankee Stadium used to have the biggest screen. Now they do.
They ain't got nothing on us.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You go to a City Field game, and it's like, there's no comparison to the
It's
Yankees.
funny because just a little bit of a, obviously I didn't even tell you this, but so, well, for one, I could see that. Obviously, I don't know Steve Cohen, but I'm a diehard Yankee fan. Big time, like from a kid.
I feel like everybody is.
I'm a big time. Like my dad was,
me
and my dad was like this. So to me, it was always like, nah, Mets, nah. So I went to Shea, I think maybe twice. And then the first time I actually went to Citi Field was this summer with my son.
Really?
I took my son. Yeah, I
What
just
a
like, I was
difference though,
like,
right?
yeah. So he wanted to go, and I was like, all right, you know what, let's go. And I seen you guys. I was actually sitting first baseline towards the
Oh,
outfield, and you
yeah.
guys were right there
That's where we
dancing.
danced.
Yeah,
Right on the
so you
morning
guys
track.
were dancing. So,
Yep.
and my son was watching. He enjoyed it. But yeah, I could see that story being true only because like my first love is baseball, so I'm always paying attention and stuff like that. And he came into the Mets and wanted to change things around like that. So I could
Yeah.
see the inspiration of bright lights, New York, especially the
So much
Knicks.
fun.
You know what I'm saying? The Knicks are starting to do good now, so it's like getting all the inspiration, have a dance team, an MC, like you said, it just gives people more of a vibe to, especially a younger generation too.
Yeah.
Makes them want to come to the games more.
It's so fun. Like I really look around and I'm just like they do the fireworks shows. I don't know if you've ever been there for one of those. Those are awesome. I remember the first time I saw it, on season 1, and I was like, "This is the fireworks show." I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Like I couldn't believe, like in like Disney when they give you that free fireworks show every night. Like it felt like that. I was just like, "Oh my god, this is unreal!" I thought it was just gonna be like pew pew pew,
Nah,
like little.
they got some.
I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." They hone in on the entertainment, and I was just like, "Oh, thank God!" Like, thank God I'm working for them.
But what is so for me? I'm like, this has got to be so much work because it sounds so nice, like all right, dancing this, that, third. But what goes into what you do now, right?
Yeah.
Where you consider the director, correct?
Yeah.
So you directing
Coach,
and
director,
coaching,
choreographer, all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're doing all that. But what is that difference from then when you was with the Dragons and all these other teams, the Jets? What was the behind the scenes on both of those? If you could explain maybe the differences and the similarities of the behind the scenes prep and really what we're not seeing,
Yeah, so lots of rehearsals. Lots of rehearsals. As a dancer, your behind the scenes is more at home, managing your physical, not just physical appearance on a sense of like how pretty you look, but really maintaining your body for athleticism. Because in the sports world, you're not, especially for like the NFL. Oh my God, you are dancing. We used to have to rehearse the entire game before the game. We were there for like 13 hours.
Wow.
And they wanted, rehearsals were not, keep in mind, outdoors, okay? Sometime the dead of winter.
Yeah.
And even rehearsals, you're barely bundled up. And
Yeah, they be wearing nothing.
Yeah. And then over the summer, it's 100 degrees, something like that, and you're expected to run a mile and to do a whole workout before your 3-hour rehearsal.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my God, like my body, I just remember used to feel like it was going to collapse. And back in the day, they did weigh-ins. And also back in the day, you didn't get paid for rehearsal. So it was just like a lot of like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? Like, what is this? It started, I don't want to say it like kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, but it just was like, what is going on here? Something's got to change in this. I feel like I'm climbing a ladder, going up to a higher leagues and stuff like that. And it felt like the work was getting more strenuous, but like my bank account was like depleting.
Right.
You're paying to get to these rehearsals. You're paying, you had to wear tights. You had to have a full blown out hair and makeup at rehearsal. Who's looking at us? You know what I mean? And it was like, what if the owner walks in? And why can't I have a ponytail and light makeup on my, I'm not going to come in looking like I just woke up, but like, all girls like that naturally are not going to come in there looking like they just rolled out of bed.
Right.
They're just natural human beings that come polished and come presentable. And, but like, do we really need to wear tights in 100-degree weather? Do we really? You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like things like that. And then we'd get weighed in at rehearsal. So some of these girls that maybe got told, oh, you need to tighten up, or something like that, they weren't like eating well before the run, the mile run, or they weren't eating well before practice. And, some people, it got to the Met. I went into it a lot older, so I was a lot more strong-minded. I'm sitting there eating like a meatball hero, on the way to practice. And some of these girls are barely eating.
Yes.
Just to not piss off the coach. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
disappoint.
Or be frowned upon that they're chubby. Meanwhile, we're talking girls that were like a size 0 to 97 pounds. We're told to lose weight. 97 pounds. I was like, I don't even think I was 97 pounds in 5th grade, So there was a lot of that. But again, going through good and bad made me the director I am today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're also in a way different world where you can't weigh in people anymore. You can't even, if you don't like the way they look physically, don't hire them.
Exactly.
You know, tell them to
100%.
work on themselves and then come back next year. But in the sports entertainment world, you gotta be athletically fit. You can't be that person that's going out on the weekends and getting wasted and not taking care of themselves mentally, physically, emotionally,
Right.
like your time management, like so much goes into it. So it really, you know, these dancers really go through, you learn a lot. The younger ones, some of them come in with great work ethic. Some of them have fantastic time management. Others, you're like, hello,
Yeah.
did you,
Wake up.
hello, like,
Yep.
did you not realize you had to do this, that, and the other thing? Um, so it's just, you know, in my, what I'm noticing now, and as we're going through like even an audition process for the next season of Kids, you got to like find these perfect little check all the boxes type of person. You know, you don't have to tell them to brush their hair. You don't have
Right.
to tell them that they should be ironing, you know, steaming their uniform. You know, the simple things that you don't think about is a natural expectation of the field.
So going from that, I want to just backtrack a little bit. You step into a world where you start dancing, and then you have your first daughter, correct?
Yes. So in the middle of that, I was about when I was 25. I was on the New York Jets inaugural season team. I was also staying connected with my original boss I was talking about from the New York Dragons, and she was looking to walk away. So I was possibly going to go and be the director for the New York Dragons on the side. And that ended up falling through because it was 2008, which was the recession.
Yes.
So I remember like being like, you're going to come in and you're going to sign the contract to be a director. And on the radio, it was like a movie. I remember I was pumping gas, and on the radio, they were talking about how the entire Arena Football League
About to go under.
was done. Like they all folded. All teams folded. They didn't want to take the chance financially for the season, and they completely just folded the entire league. And I was like devastated because I was like, now this was the point where I chose at the end of the 2007 season with the New York Jets. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm going to step away and be a director, or
Right.
I was like kind of contemplating like what I wanted to do. And I was also an MTV maid coach. Do you remember Maid?
Yes.
Yes. So
Oh, really? That's
yeah,
dope.
I was an MTV maid coach.
That's
like
fine.
this whole, and it was even that. Like I remember going on the interview with MTV, and they were like, "All right, here's a few things. Like, we want to give you the job. Are you cool with going to Hawaii?" Duh.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's
Because
good.
the kid was like going to Hawaii,
Yeah.
and like I would have had to have followed her there and been like, "You need to dance," like whatever. It was so stupid, but
Cool
they paid
with
for me
me.
to.
Yeah.
I was like, you say less.
Yeah.
I'm going. I'm already packing. You know.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, all right, here's the one kicker though. You have to be 25. And they called me and were talking to me about that on my 25th birthday. So again, it felt like,
Perfect. Like, thank you,
like
Lord.
it just always felt divine. Like it always felt like it was just how it, like this was almost too good to be true.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then right after that, like going into now 2008, this is going into 2009. I was like, all right, I feel like $1 million. Things are getting great. I want to go back to the Jets now, and I'm gonna start working out. And I remember going to a game and visiting my friends and being like, I'm coming back. Mama's coming back. Like, you know what I mean? And being like an inaugural season girl, there was that respect, and it was just, there was only 10 of us the first season.
Oh, wow.
10 of us dancing for 82,000 people.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
Yeah.
And then I remember it was maybe like a October, November game. It was beautiful out. I remember like totally having in my head, I'm going back. I remember like getting geared up, working out, just getting focused again, still teaching dance. And then like December, January rolled around. Now this is when you really start gearing up, because right after Super Bowl is when the audition process starts happening. You know, around March, April is when NFL auditions come back. And I started noticing I was gaining like a lot of weight. And I was like, how am I gaining all this weight? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I was with my ex at the time, and you know, I was just, he was even like, go. And I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, oh, okay. It's like, I guess I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought that was like it for me, because even in that realm, it was like, all right, well, now you're a mom, so you can't do that. But my director also got pregnant in the off season, and we were due like a week apart.
Oh, wow.
She knew I wanted to come back. Now I spoke to her, and she was like, I would really love, like, you know, now she's in mommy mode. She wasn't in like, you know, you have to be skinny, you have to be, like, she was in mom mode. And she was like, you'd be the first person to be pregnant and like, and not be pregnant, to be a mother and coming back on the team. Like, would you think about it? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. And I was super, you know, what was I, 26 at the time? I was like, yeah, I could pop out a baby and be in a crop top in 2 seconds. Now, no, thank you. But I gave birth, and 5-6 months later, I was at that audition in a crop top, dancing my tush off, and walked right back on that team.
That's amazing.
So, and it was like wild to think about it. My parents were super helpful. I was living very close to my parents too. Pretty much like had a house right down the block.
That's amazing.
And they were helping me with the baby. And, you know, at that time it was one baby, and it was night rehearsals. So it like worked out when like they were home from work and whatever. So it balanced all out. And I look back now and I'm like, dang girl, how did you?
You did it.
I'm like, I was sitting there in a swimsuit calendar and all this
That's
stuff. And I'm just like, I think now I'm like, if I have a weekend of just eating like too much nachos or something, I would not put on a crop top or anything like that. But you know, in your later 20s, it's a little different. Your bounce back's a little different. Your, you know, but again, it was still that generation where they really weren't making good money. And then I was like, all right, I did 2 more years after having her. And then when I was just at that point when I was about to hit 30, and I was like, I think I'm good. Because I was like, the money's not amazing. And as much as this experience is an experience, I think I'm ready to hang up the pom-poms and do something else, or just, you know, walk away. Because again, the money and going to Jersey, having a kid, and then now I'm like, all right, now I'm married. Maybe it's time for kid number 2. Like I am hitting 30 now, you know, so it was just a little bit of I felt comfortable walking away. And like, also too, there's like the known rule that you don't leave when you're angry, you leave when you're like peaceful.
You know when it's time.
You don't want to ever leave an experience like that. Like, F this, I can't stand this. So if anything's getting a little like not worth it, just wave goodbye. Not in the middle of the year, but when the season's over, just peacefully wave goodbye and don't burn any bridges, kind of thing. So I remember leaving, and I got pregnant for my second daughter right after that. And, you know, of course, there was a lot of FOMO because it was a very what now? Like,
of course, that's all you
with
know.
my dance career.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Obviously, yeah, I can go get a teaching job, this job. I was judging dance competitions, like, that wasn't the problem, but it's very hard to walk away from, sounds so stupid, but like you're sitting here like autographing pictures. You're constantly like glammed out, constantly doing these big events, you know, like in a heavy duty spotlight, and easily making money doing that, and doing like, and because you did that, making outside money.
Yep.
Because people are, oh, you were you know, come and teach here or whatever. But it was a very like, what do I do now? Is my dance career done? Like what's the next step? So then that's when it was like, okay, they don't really put on Craigslist or anything like that for dance. My job, like the job I have now, it's not just, you know, you can't just find it in an ad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the type of thing. It's very right place, right time. And that's pretty much how it went. It was a little, I'm not going to lie, there was like a little depression period where it was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not, I don't feel like, I don't want to say I don't feel fulfilled, because I loved teaching dance to kids, and I also was able to bring my daughters with me to the dance studio, and they were dancing. So it was a nice mommy moment and a nice like mother time in my life to just be teaching dance, and on the weekends maybe judging some dance competitions. But there was still that like,
missing.
I want to be, yeah, I like missed that. Like I felt very, it wasn't like I missed the spotlight. It was just like, it was such an energy that it felt like a purpose. Like we were saying before, it felt like it was my purpose. Like I was meant to do more. I wasn't just meant to be a brand. I wasn't meant to just wear a uniform. I felt like with teaching dance, with mentoring people, if any girls younger than me wanted to audition for teams I was on, I would pick up that phone so fast, not charge. Now, girls are paying like $300 just to talk to a former dancer and get feedback.
Crazy.
Whereas I remember sitting there on the phone like, you need to buy this kind of outfit. Send me a picture of what you're wearing. No, that's not good. Do your hair like this. Wear your makeup like that. Like, you know, don't go self-tanning. You know, just all these things. Like, I just remember, and I'm like, I don't know, like, it just doesn't feel right kind of like sitting back. And again, I love being a dance teacher, but like, I didn't want to just be a dance teacher till the end.
Right.
You know what I mean? I felt like there was so much more for me. So after the pandemic, getting the gig with the National Lacrosse League, I was directing all the entertainment, the mascots, everything, like the national anthem kickoff, like the whole cueing the players to run on the field, like every single job, which was cool because it kind of trained me for the Mets.
I was gonna say it's all experience. So where you're at now.
Yeah.
And that to me is like almost like it comes full circle. I feel like right now for you, it's been something where now you're helping. Even in the space where, like you said, people are paying XYZ just to get a conversation, just to talk and sit and trying to get knowledge. And you're giving it pretty much for, I mean, you get paid to do what you're doing, but yeah, you're getting it for free.
And everyone's like, you should charge for this. And, you know, like you should. And I'm like, I probably should. Like now I'm at the point where I'm, you know, mothering 3 children.
You have the knowledge that people, like I said, that people really want and they don't know from behind the scenes. Yeah. Everybody sees the Laker girls, everybody sees the cheerleaders, but they don't know
the
what
behind
goes
the
into
scenes
that.
is so much more.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much more.
The backstage action is so much more that goes into it. Yeah. And it's even hard, you know, year after year. I've worked for some great organizations, but I don't always feel like they understand what really goes into it. I feel like it's just like, oh, they'll dance. They'll dance. Like there's a disconnect. And I get it. They don't understand the respect of rehearsals and what it takes to even find these kids, the right kid. Yeah. And I say kids, I mean the dancers. You know, I feel like any job in the art world, it's always like, when are you going to get a real job? That's one thing that we will definitely talk about is the fact that I've been looked at many times as, when are you going to get a real job, a real full-time, just a 9 to 5, and like,
yeah. Well, I think we live in that world more with the parents in the old school of thought is, like, I'll just give you an example, right? Like podcasting, right? A lot of people do it. A lot of people don't get paid for it, you know, unless you get a sponsor, this, that, the third. Yeah. So when you're doing it, when you're grinding and people don't do it, they don't know it, they don't see your vision. Yeah. The same way with you is like the grueling part, but they don't see your vision of what you really want to do and why you love it so much. And then on top of that, it's the same thing. It's like, well, you putting your time into this, time into that. You should work multiple jobs or this job or that job. And it's like, I understand, totally understand.
And you do kind of have to.
Yeah, in New York, I get it.
We definitely,
we have to. But the vision that you have now, when it comes down to it down the line, people are going to be like, oh, I get
I'm still
why.
waiting for that
You know
moment.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
I really am. Like,
but if you have faith,
I do. So I'm in that moment right now where it's been 25 years, going on 26, and it's just like, when am I going to look at this and feel financially comfortable? You know, with 25 years experience, you know, it's kind of a pain in the butt because even, you know, all these organizations also are ran corporately too. Yep. And a lot of times production is considered part-time or seasonal. So getting that, I could say it, full-time money or full-time respect with benefits, things like that. It's more like, you know, you're hourly, you know, being there, or even clocking in and, you know, from home or whatever. But production world, you're not clocking in like a 9 to 5. You're, you know, you're there at game time. You're there for rehearsals. You're there only when they need you. But I feel like I'm never clocked out. Like, I feel like all day, all night, I'm sitting here listening to music for the next best performance. I'm sitting here, like I'm never mentally clocked out. I'm like right now, I'm looking for new dancers and I'm sitting here lightly and professionally stalking these kids' Instagrams to see what talent they have. And they're so blessed to have that because that's
I
such
know
a
that's like it's like a resume.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
Mm-hmm.
How they present themselves. Are they do they present themselves professionally?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they present themselves a little risque?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's a big thing too. Are they sitting there showing how drunk they got this weekend on their social media? Or are they really caring about what they're putting out there?
Right.
You know, the respect for themselves and how they represent themselves. And how they would represent themselves as brand representatives, because we don't want anybody that's going to be, we have to keep under crisis control. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like someone that says the wrong thing or does the wrong thing
Yep.
outside of here, it does reflect on the brand when you work for them.
Absolutely.
So, but it's really, right now I'm in that, I am so blessed to be here. I'm so blessed to have the job I have. I would never walk away from it because the money's not there or because of this. But there is that like tiny little fine line that I'm like, come on now. Like,
Yeah.
it's been 25 years in this career doing this. I am putting my heart and soul behind this, and bringing in the revenue is a big thing too.
Yes.
You need to, that's my main goal for this year for the team, is now that we're 2 years in, I gotta, I want to see these dancers bringing in a revenue so that they're not looked at as like, pay me,
Yeah.
because then after a while, an organization would just be like, you cost us too much money.
Yeah,
You're
we
not
could
really
get rid
bringing
of
in
it.
anything, so
So
we could do without you.
what's the vision for you within these next, I want to say 5 years. I ask a lot of people this, but the next 5 to maybe 10 years, everybody's got their own vision. God's got his own for you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
That's the one that,
But what is your personal vision for yourself? And maybe even, I don't know if you thought about it, but maybe for the kids that you're teaching now and in this Mets organization.
So the kids, I'm going to start with the kids first. As for the kids, as much as I don't want them just using this as a stepping stone, I definitely believe that they are learning so much. Because I remember, like, I think back even to myself, like how much I learned from my original coach, and just like, again, simple things, time management, answering your emails, being on top of communication, communicating properly. Showing up every day, polished. Don't get me wrong. I'll sit here and run to the bank looking like I just, But,
I mean,
but
we all
then
do.
too, it
Yeah.
does naturally, like, it does kind of like make you give a crap about yourself.
Yes.
And, I want these kids to look back and be like, thank you for everything you did to me, because now I'm here. So, like, we have a kid that was with us for 2 years, and now he's in Vegas dancing for Bob Marley's
That's dope.
show.
That's dope.
Yeah, and he's parts Jamaican, and he's got a very close. And then when he comes back to New York, he could possibly be in Dreamgirls or Soul Train.
Wow,
that's
that's
going to be coming
beautiful.
out, and he's a funk dancer, and he's amazing. And it's like, I look at kids like him, and it's like that makes my heart so happy. I have 2 dancers that left us this year, and they're on the road to touring. And one of them was just in the Thanksgiving Day parade with the K-pop Demon Hunters. That's huge right
dope.
now. But I have 3 daughters, so that's all I hear all day.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Golden
all
and all
that
that
stuff.
Yeah. But I'm sitting here watching the Thanksgiving parade, and like, there he is. And it was just like such a mom feeling. Like I really, these kids really are, I am like this with all my students. Like, I have a special bond with all of them, and I like to be like, you need to be here. You need to go there. And there's been conversations with these kids where I've said to them, like, you're fantastic here. I love you here. You're an absolute asset. But I could absolutely see you on tour behind an artist. You'd be perfect in the art world. Like, did you ever think of doing that? You know what I'm saying? Did you ever think of Broadway? You're a great singer. Like, so it's just like, I do, as much as it kills me, because then I got to say goodbye to great talent, but it's a revolving door. There's always going to be a next group of kids that come in that I'm going to like want to take under my wing. And you know what I mean? So I've accepted that recently as a director, that, I was just talking about that with my mother last night. Like, it's so sad to say goodbye to this one, this one, but they're going off and doing such amazing things. And they left very like, I'm going to miss you guys. Thank you for everything. Like, there was never bad blood. So
Right.
that really touches my heart. That's like, my ending goal for them is that they always just kind of look back as whether it was a stepping stone or just a great period in their life. Um, Great. Some stay till their mid 30s with me. You know what I mean? Like but again, it's just, we're all about like fun, smiles, happy. And I don't ever want this to be something that feels like bad on the soul.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
they're an extension of you.
Yeah.
You know, in that regard.
And
And
a
then,
reflection.
and yeah, exactly. And you never answer the second part though. What is your personal next 5 years look like for you?
Recently, I'm finally waking up and realizing like I need to hone in on myself more. I, obviously want to practice what I preach in the sense of physical training and keep myself, like, I don't think I should die now that I'm not dancing in uniform. I feel like I want to get myself back physically the way I was. I mean, I know I'm not going to be a 20-year-old body, but just even getting that, I feel like that'll be step one for my mental well-being. Instead of just like pounding out choreography and answering an email and da-da-da-da-da, I want to get like my physical self back to help my mental stability through the crazy times. But my biggest goal is with the dance team, especially bringing in a revenue. I want my corporate office to look at me and be like, she did it. Like, look at this. She's, created this. Like, I want to do junior clinics, which is not uncommon for sports teams. I've done them for years. Every single organization I was with where they have kids come in and they learn maybe like a watered down version of the routines we do, but they're kind of like us for a day. Right. I say us, meaning like the dancers. They get to kind of be a sports performer for a day and get like a whole dance clinic, like a whole, just like you're in the moment with them. And it's just really sweet seeing these kids like look up to them. And who knows if I'm sparking like my future teammate, my future dancer that's going to be on my team in a couple of years. And that I've seen that actually happen. Like I've been doing this long enough where it was like, I was at the junior clinic for the New York Dragons. Do you remember me?
That's crazy.
And meanwhile, this is my daughter.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's like,
that's nuts.
And I'm looking at myself like, Gina, how old are you?
Yeah.
But it's really cool because it's like, that's my biggest thing that's the most rewarding thing to me is when I see kids get sparked off of something that I'm doing.
Nah,
you know what I
beautiful.
mean? Like, I don't care how old I am. I think I'm always going to be like, you want to do what I did? Well, then let me tell you how I did it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
you're always going to love what you do, no matter what. It's never going to fade. One of the main things, well, not one of the main things, one of the last things I want to ask you, love. The word love, right? You have 3 children now. You've been through highs, lows in your career. You come from a big family. You've seen, I'm sure, and experienced love. You've seen, I'm sure, experienced hate. You've seen it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Even I'm not calling you old. Even at the young age that you are, you probably have a lot of knowledge just within the word love. So when you think of love, obviously the cliche answer could be, when I think of love, it's my children. But when you think of love, what does love look like to you?
It's unconditional. I think unconditional is a word that people really need to consider in every aspect of their life because you can, you're unconditional with your friends, your spouse, your partner, your children, some people need more guidance than others. And I feel like that's been a big thing, again, with my dancers. Kind of like, I always feel like I'm mothering, that's momming's not a word, but I'm mothering everyone that walks into my life now, being a mother of 3 kids of my own. It's different when it's your own.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Naturally, even super young, I started teaching at 20 when I started teaching. I always just had that natural, like, come here, I got you. I'll never let you walk out of here with lipstick on your teeth or looking like a fool, but I just feel like love is very, and I've even experienced this in my personal life. I am a single mother and I spent many years being maybe too unconditional, in hopes that people will wake up themselves. But I think love is definitely something that you feel, putting your pillow, like your head on the pillow at night and realizing that you did, you left somebody better than I want to leave people sparkling when I leave them. I don't want to leave anyone worse than when I found them. And I want everyone, if not glowing, after they've known me.
That's beautiful. That's a well thought out answer. What would you give nowadays kids, besides the ones that you teach? What would you just give what would be the advice you would give? Maybe not so much like, 1,000 things, but what would be like a main thing you would give these young dancers coming up that maybe want to follow your footsteps?
I think the biggest thing, and this is because of social media, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
I feel like people need to stop trying to be like other people. Obviously, and I could say it for myself, my social media account, you don't know what I'm going through at home. You don't know if I'm sitting here crying my eyes out about my personal life, or it just looks happy, happy, happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think kids need to, especially being in this whole TikTok, Instagram, like all this stuff just kind of controlling their brain all day long. I think they need to hone in on their authentic self more and what they bring to the table. Because I'm even noticing this with the auditions, is that like, I don't want to just see you do the choreography. I want to see how much you're like smiling at the camera, what you bring when you talk. Are you like, can I feel your soul through the camera? Like I want to see that you're someone that's really fun to work with. Someone that's like bright and bubbly, eyebrows up. I don't want to see this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think people need to be more authentic, humble, put themselves out there, fearlessly. And I feel like, a lot of kids nowadays are kind of full of fear and hide behind their phones.
Yes.
And I'm even noticing that with people my age, where I'll have a conversation, they won't pick up a phone, but they'll sit there texting me for hours and hours and hours. And it's like, pick up the goddamn phone. Pick up the phone and talk to me and look at me in the eye in a FaceTime or something like that. I think, this generation is like really, really stuck. And don't get me wrong, I scroll all day long, watching videos of nothingness, just to make the day go by. But I feel like when it comes to kids in the dance world, they need to like step back and remember that they're presenting their personality, and and the way they physically present their personality is what is going to get them the job. Yeah,
and I think it's a good way to put it, because like you said, you scroll, as is everybody else. My grandfather
everybody's robotic.
Is 80 and he scrolls through his phone.
Absolutely.
But when he puts the phone down, or when you put the phone down, or when I put the phone down, I understand that there's life outside of the phone.
Yeah.
And that's where, like you said, it's a separation where people can't separate. They put their phone down and they think everything's TikTok. They think everything is that, and that's just not really what it is.
Well, dance world wise,
the
TikTok thing, it's like the no personality, no energy, no, and unless that was instilled in you by your dance teacher, your mentor, your family, maybe your parents, you can't teach someone to have a good personality.
You can't. Nope.
That's like the one thing I can't, I could sit there writing it in the email all day long. We want to see your personality. We're family friendly. I want to see you smile, even if it's like a hip hop routine. I want to see you smile. Like, you're an entertainer. I don't want to see how tough you are. You're not going to beat up the crowd. You're beat up the movement, but like, don't, God damn it, smile. So I think this whole social media world has kind of like made almost emotionless. It's pulled the emotion out of people.
Right.
And that's, I want to see I think people need to like build their personality more and get, put themselves out there a little bit more confidently in that sense, and not feel like they need to fit that mold of an influencer or fit that mold of a TikToker. What I
like about you, just off of talking to you, is that you are motivational, but you're also upfront with it. You know what I'm saying? Which is great. So you're inspiring in that way.
I built that.
That
took a lot of building, because I always
extremely important to people that are watching. For the longest time,
I never wanted to hurt feelings.
Yeah.
So there was a lot that like my delivery obviously like got easier in time as a dance teacher. I never teach mean. I just never was. I'd rather, because I just feel like we said before, like I feel like a reflection of my all dancers that ever knew me, whether you were in a little dance class or, you know, sitting here in Major League right now.
Yeah.
I just feel like the way I act is going to reflect on the kids.
Yeah.
Because this generation is they mirror.
Exactly.
They mirror you.
Yep.
So if I'm sitting there, constantly angry face, they're going to be like that too.
Nah, for real.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to be like that too. And they're going to amp up, they're going to treat their fellow teammates like that too. So it's always like happy, smiling with the perfect amount of professionalism in like, let's get this work done and make sure it's good. We're not here to just laugh. But end of the day, we're in the happy field. I don't know. So I feel like it's very important that I go in, no matter what I'm going through at home, and I tell this to the kids too. No matter what you do, like, leave it at the door, and it's nice because it's like a natural therapy. Like, I don't get to go to therapy. I just feel like no time in the day. It's expensive. Let's be real.
It is.
And I feel like sometimes just going to a rehearsal, clearing my mind, dancing, blasting the music, laughing with the kids. It actually, like, they don't realize how much it's helped me as a person. You know what I mean? Like, my soul. So I just feel like I even owe them that naturally. Like, they don't even know they're helping me mentally. But you know, that again, it's like I said, it's a job that I want to keep forever, and I hope I die doing it, and I hope one day I'm super successful financially, not just title. Like, I think I'm absolutely past the point of title. I want to see this now, I know this is going back on the 5-year thing, but the biggest thing is I would love to see this being a little bit more financially successful, because as much I've put so much heart and passion that now I just would love to see it pay back, because I know money doesn't buy love, money doesn't buy happiness, but
definitely helps. Definitely helps.
It definitely. I'll wipe my tears with
the
money.
Yeah, exactly. So where can, obviously, kids or adults or anybody that really has questions about you know, the dance world or even other stuff, where can they find you when it comes to social media?
So social media, I'm at Gina I believe it's _Capelli. Feel free to ever reach out about anything dance. I think that there's something out there. I feel it in my gut that there's like a side job or a side thing that's going to be coming up where I'm trying to find my place in a kind of a side job in something like that. I want to help mentoring people, and I don't feel like it's just a internal thing or just a side conversation with somebody. I think I really need to find what that job is, and you know, I need to find like how can I do that other than teaching dance, and other than just I easily could talk to people, and I'll talk you till I'm blue in the face, but you know, I think it's time to start maybe thinking that this is another career.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for taking your time for us, for the podcast. And I'm extremely excited to see where you go, because obviously you have a ton of time left to do all this teaching and really get to the next level and really help kids. And I think it's a blessing. And I just want to say, for people, and I'm sure the people that have worked with you, but we appreciate you as a person that you are, and keep doing what you're doing.
Keep dancing.
Yes. And that's another episode of Coach Shop Podcast. We out of here.